Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today's Wednesday and it's April the 13th, 2022. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I'd like to extend to you a warm welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a return viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. You know, I always say the tide changes so frequently here on these YouTube streets. So you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know, I sincerely thank you for your support. Feel free to like and to share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. And our story today takes us back to the city of Fayetteville here in North Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, the Jason Walker murder update, the autopsy findings are released. I'll provide you with a summary here, and as always, I'll place links to a few of the full articles in the description box. Well, I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're coping well with the pollen season. I know we're winding down, but my patio is still very much yellow, and my allergies are reminding me that pollen season is not just over. But this is a story it's really a follow-up to a story that I did back in January, and it's a story from our city right here in Fayetteville, and it did make international news. It's about an off-duty police officer who shot and killed an unarmed black man on the streets of Fayetteville. Today I want to share with you the autopsy findings. We've been waiting on that for a while. I was out of the country when that information was made public last month, and thanks to a few of my subscribers, the link to the articles were in my mailbox when I got back. So by sharing it, it tells me it's a story that you're interested in. Plus, I appreciate you keeping me in the loop, so thank you for that as well. So today I want to share with you those autopsy findings, as well as a statement released by the attorney representing the family of the deceased. And just as a refresher, the story is about this young man, 37-year-old Jason Walker, father of a teenage son, who we know was unarmed when he was shot 4 times in the back and killed by an off-duty Fayetteville police officer. There were initially conflicting reports as to what took place prior to the shooting, but one thing that has remained constant, and that's with the exception of a passerby who immediately went to Jason's aid, and the fact that her significant other videotaped what took place, those who viewed that tape, we were shocked by the lack of compassion and the lack of response that was paid to this young victim as he lay there dying on the streets of Fayetteville. And of course, this led to several weeks of protest and calls for justice, with many questioning whether the murder of this young man was justified. There were also those who questioned the actions of the police chiefs and her comments to the media, which many felt were attempts to protect her officer and to cover up what actually happened. And as the story took an international focus, the police chief was forced to release the body cam video, which only covered the incidents that took place once the police arrived. It does not cover the shooting. And you know, while some aspects of the statement given by the police officer who did the shooting, so it was corroborated when he said what he said happened, there's still many in the community who continue to wonder whether the killing of this young man was justified. Now, there was one witness who told the media, and just about everybody else would listen. She stated that Walker was walking across the street on his way home when the deputy hit him with his red pickup truck. That witness stated that Walker fell on the deputy's car and the deputy shot him multiple times. She stated he shot the victim first through the windshield and then several times when the deputy, got out of the car. But there was some concerns about this victim's story. I'm careful because one of the things I said is that I would never mention her name again, despite all the good that she did, because she was the one who rendered aid to the dying victim. She was the one who rendered aid until the police arrived. Because of some of the statements she made, and we know that they were not factual, I've decided not to mention her name going forward. Now, the off-duty deputy involved in the shooting, he did not deny the killing. In fact, he was the one who called 911, but he had a different version of what took place. He stated that Walker jumped in the hood of his truck, broke off the windshield wiper and was beating the windshield with the wiper blade, and that's when the deputy said he shot him and he killed him. Now, when portions of the video from the police body camera, when frames were released, it showed what happened when police got to the scene. We heard parts of the statement from Walker's father as he described to the police what had happened. The senior Mr. Walker stated that Jason was across the street. He was calling him back over the street when Jason jumped on the hood of the deputy's truck and was beating on it. He broke off the windshield wiper and he was beating on the windshield. And that's when the deputy shot him multiple times. And I have to add that the frames that were released by the police gave a false impression that police were responsive to the dying man when they got here, because reality was they were not. Now, in the initial video that was shot by the woman who was rendering her aid, it was shot by her significant other. We saw that when the deputies arrived, they did not go over there to where that woman was helping that dying man at all. They did not. And that is undisputed because we all saw that on the video. And we know a lot was happening behind the scenes after that. The protests continued, during which time we learned that the Walker family had hired prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump to represent them. He came to Fayetteville for one night rally, and one of the things he stressed was for transparency during the investigation and for the release of the autopsy findings in a timely manner. He believed the number of times Jason Walker was shot was excessive, but he wanted to see the autopsy finding. I also heard him say that he and his team were prepared to conduct an independent autopsy if they felt that was necessary. And then there was the funeral for Jason Walker around the 21st of January, and then things seemed to have settled down, or I should say, I did not hear anything after that for a few weeks. And around the third week of March last month, the autopsy findings was finally released by the North Carolina Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. The findings indicated that 37-year-old Jason Walker was shot 4 times with hollow point bullets from a 9mm gun. And if you're wondering about the term hollow points bullet, well, these are bullets where the end of them are pretty much inverted, or they're pushed down on the inside, and they are very deadly. Once they hit you, they tend to cause massive damage because they explode, causing multiple channels of injury. And again, the autopsy said he had 4 wounds, but let me warn you that what I'm about to say is a little bit graphic. So he had 4 wounds, one to his head, and this shot went through his brain, his neck, and then became lodged in the left side of his spinal cord. Another shot was to his lower chest, which went through the right ventricles of his heart, then tore through his liver, it tore through his stomach, it tore through his pancreas and his aorta before it lodged in the left side of his back. He was also shot in the back and in his left thigh. Now, it did not specify how those 2 bullets traveled, but without a doubt, this man was still being shot while he was lying there dying on the street. And I have to say allegedly, one, because I wasn't there. One witness said he did not see the shooting, but when he heard the shots and he came out, the deputy was standing over the fallen man with his gun in his hand. And my initial response at that point was, how do you say overkill? You have someone driving a big truck, which by its nature can kill people, and someone jumps on the hood of your truck, and your response as a driver, instead of driving away, your response is to get out of the car and pump multiple bullets into this man, and as if your intention was to make sure he was dead, allegedly. And after the findings from the autopsy were released, the family's attorney, civil rights attorney Ben Crump, he did issue a statement, and part of it read, "The information in this official autopsy report confirms what we already knew, that Jason Walker was killed unjustly in cold blood by off-duty Deputy Jeffrey Hash. This is clearly excessive. According to the autopsy, Hash shot Jason 4 times, including shots to the head, back, and the heart. A trained law enforcement officer knows that shooting someone that many times in these parts of the body is shooting to kill. Jason should be alive today." And where do we go from here? As far as I know, the investigation is still ongoing. I know the autopsy report was forwarded to the agency that's been designated to determine whether or not Officer Hash would face any type of punishment for killing Jason Walker. But we still remain a city divided, even though we're not as vocal as previously. Many are still sitting there quietly, hoping and praying that Jason Walker and his family would somehow receive justice. I should also mention it was reported that no illegal drugs were found in Jason Walker's system. And I'm sure there's a lot more on the story to come, and I'll try to stay on top of it and bring you updates as they become available. And that's all I have for you right now. Feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about the video. And by all means, feel free to like it and to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks just like this one, it's the notification bell. If you click on that bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.